All right, try number two. A little bit of a technical difficulty again, but we'll give this a go. Jump right into these. These are red Caboose 4750 grain hoppers, and I bought these for a specific purpose. I've got two sets of these, and they're identical. And I kind of wanted to do this thing where I painted a set and did some decals. I swear I'm still working on that. I just haven't got my printer to quite get the quality where I want it yet. I swear it's coming down the pipe, but anyway, I just run into this thing where getting different road numbers and really nice quality grain hoppers or covered hoppers, whatever you want to call them, is tough to do, and they're super expensive and kind of hard to find. And I've mentioned it a few times, when I move to a bigger layout, when that time comes, I want some long unit grain trains, because that's really what I see in my area, and it's kind of always been what I wanted. I'm getting there with some of my other stuff, but I really struggle to find these type of cars cheap. I ran across these red Cabooses with Train Z, and they were selling them for about $40 for a set of three, and then I had a little bit of shipping on top of that, and I did some combining, and these ended up being about $45 a set of three, and I ended up with a BNSF set and two identical ATSF sets. And one of the reasons why I got these is because they had really pronounced ribs on the exterior, and I wanted to see if I could get the decals to work with them. So it was kind of, I'm spending a little bit of money to try something and not necessarily knowing the quality. And when I first got these, I was a little bit disappointed. The price was, at $15 a car, we are definitely competing with these. And when I ran these the other day, that intro video, I was pulling one of these behind it, kind of as a little bit of as a hint to what was coming. But those Broadway grain hoppers, although they really don't work for what I want to do, are substantially higher quality than these, and they're definitely at a cheaper price point. But at the $15 price point, these come with these trucks installed, and I have voiced my discontent for Rapido couplers in the past, and I still don't like them. And these trucks, although they do run, they're not very smooth, and I don't know if I can get this on camera, but with any load, you can kind of get the wheels, the axles to flex there. Yeah, I don't know if you can quite see that, but they're pretty chintzy axles, and they definitely don't roll very smooth, and they tend to give the car kind of a back and forth rocking maneuver. They are usable, especially because they do come with these. And I'll try to get that. They're kind of a pseudo knuckle coupler. They will replace that Rapido. I did try them with these. You might even saw a video. I think I had one a couple weeks back where they were running on the layout with these installed. They do have to manually be coupled. I got another set right here. Kind of just have to do the old lay them on top of each other technique like that, and then they stay coupled really well. They just don't roll very smooth. So I almost immediately did a microtrains conversion. So that essentially adds $5 to the price of the car right on top of it. So instead of a $15 car, we're now looking at $20 cars. And there's something to do with the geometry of how these are put together. I had to end up cutting all the hoses on the couplers. They were catching on turnouts, and these definitely do not like to be backed through turnouts. They are too light, and I'll get to that in a second. But the hoses were catching on turnouts. Not really sure why, but it's not really that big a deal. It's just something to be noted. I ended up trimming back my coupler hoses. I do it quite a bit. It just is one of those, makes things run a little nicer. Kind of sucks that you got to do it, especially after spending that kind of money, but it is what it is. How do I say this? Even the microtrains conversion, I haven't quite got where they need to be yet. They're still a little floppy. I'm going to try some different spacer washers here, see if that makes a difference at all. I'm still kind of in the testing phase of these, but I'm just kind of disappointed with what they are and for how much they cost. And again, it's a product of me just trying stuff out. There's little things like you can see the paint there is peeling, and there's some inconsistencies in the paint. There isn't really good rivet detail or anything like that, and even the walkways are a little bit iffy. I don't know if you can see that there, but it's almost like the gaps are kind of filled in with plastic. Not the biggest deal in the world if these were a $10 car, but they're $20 shipped to me with the microtrains conversion. So we're competing with a lot higher end car at that point, and I honestly just can't be too excited about these things. The other problem that I ran into, other than the looks in these, because that's not necessarily a downside, I planned on weathering these and doing graffiti at some point, and sometimes little mess ups in paint can be cool because you can add, some weathering detail to that and make it look kind of factory that way. And so, again, if this was a $10 car, that would almost kind of be a plus. You could do some cool things with it, especially if that's what you were going for. The main problem I have with these is they're just too light. And for anybody who hasn't run a car that was too light, I tried to capture it in my first little video there, slowly rolling by. Plastic wheels have a little bit of rolling resistance, and if there's not enough weight in the car, you kind of get this back and forth jiggle jaggle thing. And I've brought this up before. It's one of my problems with microtrains. You can kind of see it there. Because the couplers are sprung, if you don't have enough weight in the car, they just look really unscale. And I have lots of cars that do this, but especially when there's a lot of weight behind these things coming down a hill, they're all over the place. And depending on when they decide for that weight to shift, they can actually cause a derailment because they all kind of do it at the same time. I know that I can probably pop these open and put weight in them and make them run a whole bunch better, and I probably will do that when it comes time to do the weathering on these, because at the end of the day, that's what I bought these for. They're actually a project car. It just sucks that for this price point, you got to do all that stuff to make these decent runners. And like I said, they do not back through turnouts. Maybe when I get some weight on these, they'll actually roll through turnouts pretty well. I brought up the issue before because these are truck mount couplers. Any weight behind them at all, if you hit any sort of resistance going through a turnout, they pretty well immediately derail. So these are not a recommend. I swear, as soon as I find the holy grail of getting cool covered hopper grain cars for a decent price that are good quality, I'll let you guys know. It's constantly on my radar. The oldest ones in my collection are these BNSFs that I got, and I'm rolling around here. They're pretty high priced, but these were basically $20 a car when I bought them back in the day, and they're 10 times the runner that these are. So deals can be had. These are just not quite there for me yet. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, everybody. I appreciate it, and I will see you this Sunday for my Atlas review. It's going to be a long one, so be ready. Anyway, thanks again. Bye now.